Me too. All right.
Okay.
So,
If you say so, boss. Hi,
hi, hello. I'm Ted Lederer of the Elliott Lewis Gallery in Vancouver, and I'm with
Devorah McDonald, and we're here for It's All About Art.
It's All About Art. And today we are interviewing
Barbara Heller, who is probably the preeminent tapestry artist in this continent.
that's.
You'd agree with me,
I
yeah?
would agree. From everything that I have read and understand, Barbara Heller is enormously respected. This is going to be a lot of fun today. Hello, I'm Ted Lederer of the Elliott Lewis Gallery, and we're here on Granville Island in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I am with...
Devorah McDonald, and we're here to introduce to you the tapestry artist Barbara Heller.
Hello.
How long have you been a tapestry artist?
About 26 years, full-time. I was a printmaker, I was a surface designer, a lot of different art forms before I settled in on tapestry. But printmaking I loved and became allergic to the chemicals, and so that's why I switched to textiles. I was also teaching textiles at that time.
So you create your tapestries here? Do you do them all here?
I weave all my tapestries here. This back wall used to have nails on a board at the top and the bottom, and the warp would be really primitive. Strung up, and I would start on the floor and sit on pillows and boxes and tables until I reached the top. And the advantage of that is you can see the whole piece as you progress. When I started, I was a purist, and it was all hand-spun, nature-dyed yarns. This was the early 70s.
Yes.
And then, because as the image and the color became more and more important, I use chemical dyes now.
No, I was told a story that you actually used to go out to the farm and pick the sheep that you wanted, whose wool you wanted.
I did have that happen to me once, absolutely. I do spin and I get fleece. I thought I should support local farmers. And I came out, this woman said, "Come and pick your fleece." She didn't tell me it was still on the sheep. So we walk into this barn, there are 4 sheep, and she says, "Which one do you want?"
So at the farm, what they do, they sheared the poor little critter right there?
No, she brought it to me a week later.
Oh, okay.
Sheep do not enjoy being sheared. I dye it. That's the best part. I love color. I just love the whole dyeing process, and it's really a very simple process as long as you make sure that it's done correctly chemically so that color is permanent. And I love color, so I get to play when I dye yarn.
Are these all things that you learned through doing?
Yes. Well, I did go through art education, and part of it was teaching us all of that so we could teach others.
Your tapestries have this very subtle changes in colors, and it seems like every square inch is a different color.
It probably is.
Well, how do you do that?
Do you want to just stop?
I'd love to.
Just show you the back of a tapestry. I do everything from meticulously working it out in areas like this. And all those little things that look like a paint by numbers are actually just value. It says light, medium, medium dark. It doesn't have any color indication on it. And other areas are just scribbled. So I know where I want darks or color change to be, but most of it now is intuitive. Some people would call it tedious, but the weaving is the real joy. I get to play with color. And I also get to be surprised by the illusion, and if it isn't working, I undo it. I'm a little fanatic.
You physically, because a painter will paint over.
That's right, I wish I could do that.
You're painting with wool, only you can't paint over.
The difference with tapestry, first of all, is that a painter is painting on a pre-existing canvas. And they can paint anywhere within the whole canvas. I am creating the canvas as I create the image because I am weaving from one end to the other. And so you start at one side, which would be the bottom on the loom, and you simply weave to the other side. So you can't, so while you're down here and I'm working, let's say, with this blue here, I have to think, oh, well, I might keep some of that blue to use somewhere else because I want to balance the colors, just like a painter would. So you always have to think of the whole piece, even though you're actually weaving this little rock here. You know.
There's never more than just an inch or so of a color before you're switching to another color.
Well,
it's extraordinary, Barbara.
nature is not monochrome. A green in nature is 10,000 greens, and a rock is never one gray. And so I love to play with all those subtle colors. I want every bit of the tapestry to be interesting to a viewer if they focus on it. I always think of when you were little and you were sick and you sat and looked at your bedroom curtain pattern, and for hours you'd make patterns out of the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that same idea of giving somebody something new to notice every time they look.
Your work is very contemporary and political and really tackles issues. So, I mean, there's a subtlety to it, but you will do things that I have never seen in contemporary tapestry anywhere. So maybe you could talk to us just a little bit about what your, the imagery and what you're doing in your paintings or in your tapestry. I keep wanting to call them paintings.
That's
because
right.
For me, they're paintings.
I work in series, so what I've done has evolved over the year. In the show, there's the series that I call Ghost Images, which are often from family photos, and it's a transparent person in a stone, in the setting that involves stones. I'm really drawn to stones. And there are ancient sites where people have lived for thousands of years, perhaps, and so the people I'm showing in those sites are the people, the spirits of the people who've lived there all that time. These three resulted from a trip to Poland, to Krakow. It's about memory. I'm very interested in how we remember things, how we change our memories. I mean, the family stories that may or may not be true, but because they've been told so often, that's what we remember as truth. Symbols that are pretty universal that people can emotionally identify with, because that's the way to reach people with your message, I think, is through their emotions, not through hitting them over the head. A lot of my work has to do with ecology, the environment, what man's impact on the environment, usually not for good.
There's a group of your tapestries within the exhibit that are from what you call the cover-up series.
It came out of the millennium. The world is going to come to the end. Everybody's very scared. I did my millennium piece, which has segments of disasters, and one of them is people in radiation suits walking to Chernobyl. And I started to think about how they, in their radiation suits, thought that they were invincible. And I thought of all the other reasons we cover ourselves up, from an Afghani woman, a Bedouin woman wearing her dowry in her cover-up and not being allowed to expose her face to men, a bride, a surgeon for the Western contingent, a New Guinea mudman. And it's partially, I mean, I don't want to say too much, because some people look at it and take it as the viewer looking at this person. Other people imagine themselves within the costume. I tried to make the people we picture downtrodden very strong, and the people that we picture as strong something else. One of them is a Canadian Klansman, and he's got a pot belly and a striped school tie and a tassel on his hood, and he looks totally innocuous, except he's wearing a Klan uniform. And the world is on fire behind him.
There's a real subtlety there. You have to really look to catch that, don't you?
Right.
Because at first you look at the Klansman and it's like, oh my God, it's a Klansman.
Yes.
But then when you look a little closer, it's not, everything is not as it seems to be.
Right.
Is it fair to say this is the most comprehensive
Yes.
solo exhibition you've ever had?
Absolutely. A lot of these are pieces I did maybe 10 or 15 or even 20 years ago and just never thought about selling. And some of the work is very current from 2 years ago.
Right.
So tapestry takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is there's this 15, 18-year retrospective, but there's works from your private collection that nobody has had the opportunity to see, nevertheless
Yes.
acquire. So,
And even though the cover-up series has been touring for 2 or 3 years, it was not for sale.
so this is a little bit of a watershed in your career.
It's a little scary, but it's also very exciting.
Very nice.
I mean, an artist creates to communicate,
Well,
and if they don't and let it share the work, there's no point.
Thank you. So I'm Ted Lederer from the Elliott Lewis Gallery, and
I'm Deborah McDonald.
we've been with Barbara Heller. So thank you for watching.
Thank you.